Broducers, it's Özgün here. In this tutorial, I'm gonna talk about how to mix your tracks. I get this question a lot. I mostly mix while I produce, but when I'm gonna release the track, I'm making the final mix down. You already know how I produce my tracks from my start to finish tutorials. And now I'm gonna show you what I do before I release the tracks, what is my checklist, how to approach the mixing process. And if you're ready, let's get into that tutorial. So this is the idea that I have. I made this idea for a mobile app, which I'm gonna put a link in the description. If you are interested, you can check that out. Okay, let's hear what we got now. Okay, this was the drop that I made. While I'm mixing the track, the first thing I check the gain staging. If I simplify that topic, let's say we have this kick and we are sending the kick to a channel. When the kick hits, the channel shouldn't clip at all. And also, like, let's go another example. Let's go leads. In here, as you see, the leads are going this channel to another lead mix channel, and there are some plugins in there. So my point is, chain shouldn't be clipping at all in the chain itself. Like after Camel Crusher, if the sound is more than 0 dB, we need to just lower the volume. Maybe we use some EQ and we do some changes on them, and it makes the sound more than 0 dB. We need to just lower the volume in here. I mean, every plugin has an input and output knob, so make sure you are not clipping in any order in the chain. This is the first thing we should be focusing on in every channel. This is the first rule. This is how I start my mixing process. I just solo the kick and put the bass on it. When I listen kick and bass, I just put a span, I just put an LFO tool to monitor the waveform. And also let me disable this frequency balance on the master. It was reducing the volume because all the track was clipping in the end. Now we are gonna fix this one too. We are gonna load a clipper to the master. It's just gonna tame the sound if we clip at some point. So to be safe, I'm just working with a clipper. Sometimes I even just boost several dBs of volume and I'm mixing while I'm mastering the track. And I'm gonna hard clip, so this is crucial. Maybe we can just give it 3 decibels of gain. So we kinda hear how it's gonna sound after mastering. This is what I do most of the time. I'm gonna solo the kick. My point is to put the kick to the maximum that I can put with current settings. Our transient is full in terms of dynamic range. Our kick's body is good. They are looking equal. So we are gonna need to match the bass with the kick's tail. Let's do it. And I'm gonna check if we are clipping at some point. Yeah, this transient shaper is just giving so much output, so I'm gonna lower it maybe 1 or 2 dB. I think the chain looks good now. Now we can just balance it with the kick. When I'm looking the span, we should have something like this kind of looking. We should have the first fundamental note, we should have the second harmonic and the third harmonic in 200 Hz area. And if you check the LFO tool, you can see our bass is hitting as hard as our kick. Now our low end is good. We can just continue mixing the other elements in the track. I like to mix the leads according to my kick and bass because our kick, bass, and the leads, they are the most important element in a drop, in a track. Let's go to the lead. So I'm hearing like in 1K, there are too much frequencies and it's make my clipper distorting. It's basically too much. I'm gonna just dip and color the leads just a little bit to not clip. When I tame the mid area, now our leads are not bigger than the kick and bass, which is what we are looking for. Now they are blending well in the track. If you listen, it sounds nice. The next thing I like to do to clip the leads, this is a free clipper. I recommend you to download that one. I'm just gonna give a bit input gain, so it's gonna make my final mastering clipper or limiter or maximizers work easier. It's basically just mastering the track while you mixing the channels. Like when you finish processing your channels and you're satisfied with it, you can just clip the channel, you can make it bigger, you can limit it, and the final limiter in the master chain is gonna do the job so much easier. And if you clip at some point, you can just reduce maybe half dB the sounds, and when you not clip, you are good to go. After making the main balances, kick, bass, and the leads, I mostly go for the secondary elements in the drop, you know? Let's see, what do we have? We have the gate sound. But I think this is not the secondary one. I think the secondary one is this bass shots. Okay, I see this sound is clipping. I'm just gonna reduce it a bit. Maybe I can reduce all of them just a little bit to be safe. I made them like this. I gave them Camel Crusher. We have 4 channels of bass shots. And like I have EQ. And they are just going to same bus. So I can just control all of them in terms of volume with only one mixer channel. And I'm side chaining them in a one channel. That's why I just grouped them. But again, we can use the clipping method in the bass shot, so we can just squeeze them and they will sound so much more better, like glued with the mix. Let's give them several dBs. I'm just gonna dip a bit of the low mids because I don't want it to be clash with the leads. Now we can listen all of them together and determine the final volume of the bass shots. I think we can give them a bit of reverb so it can go for of the sounds a bit more. Now every element sounds nice. Maybe like the 4 bass shots are too much. Maybe mute this one. And like if you think several elements are too much in the track, if you just mute it and don't miss it, you can just remove that, you know. In this example, I think all of them at the same time is kind of too hectic to me. Maybe I can just mute this one and see if it's worse or good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna mute the second one. It sounds good to me. Let's go to the other elements in the track. Now we have a good balance with the synths, the bass, the kick. Now we can take a look of the drums. I'm gonna mute those guys because I like to mix everything with kick and bass. So let's see what do we have. We have the hi-hat. We should check with LFO tool. I think the hat is way too harsh and it's like killing the psytrance bass because the transient of the hi-hats are bigger than it. Just check that one. As you see, it's like swallowing the kick transient. That's a really big mistake. So let's fix this one. The first thing we can do, just cut the lows. So let's clear the sample and we get headroom for other elements. Sounds good, but now I'm gonna put an LFO tool and I just want to sidechain this head. So not 100%, but something like that. Maybe something like that. Sounds good. Now I'm gonna go this kind of EQ. I made it for coloring the heads. So it basically has like 3 bands. The first band is like, if I think hi-hat is too thin, I can just boost this one. Or if I think it's like too harsh, I can just reduce this one. Yes, it sounds nice. Okay, let's go to the second hi-hat. Just do the same processing. Let's put an hat EQ and let's put the low cut. Again, just listen it with the kick. Let's go to the next hat. I'm gonna copy the same EQ. And now as you see, all of the hi-hats are going to the same bus, which we can put a compressor and we can just glue all of the hi-hats. You can do this with your drum bass, you can do this like percussions, claps, like you can group the similar drums and you can just put a glue compressor on them. And it's gonna help you to keep a tight mix down and it's gonna make your drums shine more in the track. My point is to compress them like maybe 2 or 3 decibels, nothing more. And I'm gonna give 2 decibels of makeup gain so I don't lose any of the volume. This is a really good option. If you have auto gain option or makeup option, just use it in the compressor. Just make it up as much as you compress them and you don't hear any volume changes and you are gonna only see the work of the compressor does. And even you can, before the compression, you can just give it just a little bit of saturation. As you see, saturation makes them bigger in the mix without like giving it that much volume, and we can use that in our advantage. And the last thing we can do to put a reverb, and let's use it like maybe 10%, maybe 5%, and it's gonna put all of the hi-hats to the same room and that's gonna glue the sounds. Okay, now maybe we can just reduce it several dB. Okay, let's add the claps. I think we have 3 channels. I'm gonna do the same stuff, just gonna cut the lobes of the claps. And when I'm balancing my drums to the track, the thing I'm checking, I want the same loudness as my kick and bass in the span. Just check that one. Like the first part of the track should be same in the last part of the track. This is how you balance your cymbals, your hi-hats. Just check the waveform and try to balance them like perfectly. Already like in a really good balance, and I think we can now listen with the other elements that we mixed before and see if they clash or not. Now everything sounds really decent, really glued. Okay, now we can go check this gate sound. I think we should push the sound really back. Our top part, our melody part is really crowded. We have 4 or 5 channels of drums. Now the gator should be really pushed back to the mix. When you are mixing the track, you should just order the sounds. Primary sound, secondary sound, support sounds, like FX sounds, background sounds, and you should mix them in that order. At least this is what I do. Let's go find the gate. The first thing I'm considering if I'm gonna push this sound to the back of the mix, this sound shouldn't have much more presence in the mids, because both of our bass shots and the drop leads, they are occupying the mid area. They are not high sounds, they're really close. That's why if you wanna put the sound in the same area, you should be dipping, clashing frequencies. and giving the sound more reverb and also making it white with any stereo shaper, stereo imager plugin, it's gonna make the sound less presence in the mix. Now I'm gonna listen the track and balance them. And now let's go mix the last sound we have. This is a white noise. And this is just for the taste. There are no rules mixing the white noises. And we have the big snare, drop fills and crash. Let's just quickly balance the sound while we are listening the full mix, because they are not primary elements. They are not that crucial elements. All we aim is to just fit them to the mix. Like we don't want them to be too silent or too loud to take too much attention. We just want to mix them inside the track. That's all what we are looking for. So one of the rules was the top end for drums, for cymbals, shouldn't be more than kick and bass. That's why I'm gonna reduce my crash. And also I think we have a really annoying frequency that I didn't hear, but I just saw in the span. I'm just gonna check. What if I just reduce that annoying hill? I think it's much more cleaner now. Like, don't hesitate to make a surgery kind of EQ on that kind of sounds. Let's see how it's gonna sound in the full mix. So the other thing is, when you are going to the drop from build up, just make sure to lower some volume, reduce some energy. The drop must impact hard. Like listen your track and compare it with similar tracks. And also you can do something like this. You can go drop and you can go build while you are listening the track. If the build up or any other part sounds bigger than the drop, it's a problem. Just make sure to have proper volume automations or arrangements. Let's listen now. We didn't arrange these sounds. We should reduce their volume if they are killing the impact of the drop. Okay, I think the snares are a bit too loud. Yes, I think the drop impact is really good now, and we can take a final listen. This is what I do when I'm trying to release my track. So there are two approaches of the mixing. One is the linear mixing. You can start with intro, break, build up, drop, or you can just mix the drop and mix other elements according to the drop. You can just keep the drop balances and make the rest of the track a bit smaller. You can just mix with that approach. There are two approaches like this. So my approach is to start with drop and make everything else according to my drop. And today I wanted to show you how I mix my tracks before I release them. In the next video, I'm gonna show how to master the track. So before releasing the track, I make the mastering, of course. In the next video, I'm gonna cover how I master my tracks. If you don't want to miss it out, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Now we can take a final listen to the track that we mix. I hope you can apply this to your own productions too. Today that was it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video. Bye bye.